Before you were born, before you took your first breath, before anyone ever knew your name, God already knew you. Not casually, not distantly, personally. He knew your life before it unfolded. He knew your strengths before you discovered them. He knew your struggles before you faced them. And still, knowing everything about you, He chose you. Many people walk through life feeling random, as if their existence is accidental, as if they are just another face in the crowd, but heaven does not see you that way. You are not random. You are not overlooked. You are not a mistake. You are chosen. Being chosen by God does not mean life will be easy. It means your life carries purpose beyond what is visible. It means your existence is intentional, not accidental. Many believers struggle with this truth because they measure their worth through human validation. They look at rejection and feel unworthy. They look at failure and feel disqualified. They look at their past and feel unusable. But God's choice was never based on human perfection. If being chosen required perfection, no one would qualify. God often chooses people who feel least qualified because His power is revealed best through surrendered lives, not flawless ones. He chooses the overlooked. He chooses the underestimated. He chooses the ones who feel unprepared. Because being chosen is about purpose, not performance. When God chooses you, He is choosing what your life will accomplish, not just who you currently are. He sees your future impact even when you only see your present limitations. This is why many chosen people walk through seasons of confusion early in life. You feel different but cannot explain why. You feel pulled toward purpose but cannot define it yet. You feel restless in ordinary spaces. That inner stirring is not random, it is the echo of divine selection. Being chosen also means your life will experience preparation seasons others may not understand. God refines what He selects. He builds character. He strengthens endurance. He develops spiritual sensitivity. Because what He assigns to chosen people often carries weight that requires deeper formation. And this preparation can feel uncomfortable. There are seasons of isolation, seasons of misunderstanding, seasons where you feel hidden rather than visible. But hidden seasons are often developmental seasons. God works on identity before He releases assignment. He wants you secure in who you are before you step into what you are called to do. Another powerful truth about being chosen is that God's choice is not cancelled by your past. Many people believe their mistakes disqualified them. They feel their failures erased their purpose, but God's calling is not fragile. He knew your flaws before He chose you. He knew your struggles before He selected you. He knew your weaknesses before He assigned your destiny. And still, He chose you. This means your past cannot erase what heaven has already decided about your future. As we continue deeper into this teaching, you will begin to understand why God chooses certain people, how chosen lives are prepared, and what it means to walk confidently in the identity of being selected by God Himself. Because being chosen is not about status, it is about assignment. Being chosen by God sounds powerful when you first hear it. It sounds like honor. It sounds like privilege. It sounds like something that should automatically make life easier. But what many people do not realize is that being chosen also comes with preparation. God does not select people casually, and when He chooses someone for purpose, He begins shaping them long before the assignment becomes visible. This shaping process is where many chosen people become confused about their lives. Because preparation rarely feels like promotion. It often feels like delay, like isolation, like misunderstanding, like pressure. You look at your life and wonder why certain paths feel harder for you than for others. You wonder why doors close that seem open for everyone else. You question why your journey feels slower, deeper, or more complex. But what feels like restriction is often refinement. God refines what He chooses. When gold is selected, it is placed in fire not to destroy it, but to purify it. The fire removes what cannot remain in what has been chosen for value. In the same way, chosen lives often pass through refining seasons. God removes pride. He exposes insecurity. He strengthens patience. He builds humility. Not because He is punishing you, but because what you are called to carry requires inner stability. Another dimension of being chosen is separation. Not always physical separation, but spiritual and emotional distinction. You begin to notice that you think differently from people around you. Your desires shift. Your interests change. Your tolerance for certain environments reduces. You feel set apart without trying to be. This separation is not rejection, it is positioning. God begins pulling you away from influences that could dilute your purpose. He creates distance from environments that could distract your focus. And while this can feel lonely, it is intentional. Because what is chosen must be protected during formation. There are conversations you are removed from, places you feel uncomfortable staying in, relationships that gradually lose alignment. This is not loss, it is preparation. Another reality many chosen people experience is hiddenness. Before visibility comes development, before platform comes process. God often hides what He is preparing until it is ready to be revealed. Hidden seasons are where identity is built privately before assignment becomes public. And hiddenness can feel frustrating because you know you carry purpose, but you do not yet see its manifestation. You feel ready, but doors remain closed. You feel capable, but opportunities delay. But hidden seasons are not wasted seasons. They are training grounds. God builds discipline in hiddenness. He builds faithfulness where no one is watching. He strengthens your relationship with Him beyond public validation. Because when visibility comes, what was built in private sustains you in public. Another refining aspect of being chosen is testing. Not testing to cause failure, but testing to reveal strength. Testing exposes what still needs growth. It reveals areas where trust is shallow or motives are mixed. God tests loyalty. He tests obedience. He tests humility. And through these tests, character is fortified. Because purpose without character becomes dangerous. There is also spiritual sensitivity that develops in chosen lives. You begin sensing God's direction more clearly. You feel conviction more strongly. You become aware of spiritual atmospheres around you. This sensitivity is cultivated in preparation seasons. God trains your spirit to discern before He assigns you to lead, influence, or impact others. Because you cannot guide others spiritually if you are not first trained internally. One of the most comforting truths about being chosen is that God never selects without equipping. If He calls you, He prepares you, If He assigns you, He strengthens you. If He selects you, He commits to developing you. You are never chosen and abandoned. As preparation continues, you may not always understand what God is doing. But later, when purpose begins to unfold, you will realize that every refining season had intention behind it. Nothing was random. As we move into the next part, we will go deeper into what it means to live as someone chosen by God, how to embrace your identity, how to overcome feelings of unworthiness, and how to walk confidently in the purpose heaven has placed on your life. Because being chosen is not only about preparation, it is about activation. When you begin to understand that you are chosen by God, the greatest battle you will face is not external, it is internal. Because even after God chooses you, there are moments where you will question your own worthiness. Moments where your past tries to speak louder than your purpose. Moments where your mistakes attempt to convince you that you are disqualified. And this inner conflict is where many chosen people struggle. You believe God has a plan for your life, but you feel unqualified to carry it. You know you are called, but you feel inadequate. You sense purpose, but insecurity whispers that you are not enough. This tension is common among chosen people because being chosen does not erase human weakness. It invites divine transformation within it. God does not choose you because you feel ready. He chooses you knowing He will shape you along the way. One of the greatest obstacles chosen people must overcome is the weight of their past. Many believe their past failures cancelled their future calling. They replay mistakes, regrets, and wrong decisions, assuming those moments erased their eligibility. But God's choice was never based on your history, it was based on His purpose. He knew your past before He chose you. He knew your struggles before He called you. He knew your flaws before He assigned your destiny. And still, His choice remained. This means your past may explain your journey, but it does not define your assignment. Another internal battle chosen people face is comparison. You look at others and feel less qualified. You see their confidence, their opportunities, their progress, and you question whether you truly belong in the space God is calling you toward. But comparison blinds you to divine customization. God does not call people based on similarity, He calls them based on uniqueness. Your journey, your voice, your impact are designed specifically for the assignment attached to your life. What qualifies you is not how you compare, it is how you align. There is also fear that rises when you begin to realize you are chosen. Fear of responsibility, fear of failure, fear of stepping into something bigger than your comfort zone. Because purpose always stretches you beyond familiarity. But fear does not mean you are unqualified. It often means you are stepping into something significant. God rarely calls people into assignments that feel small to them. He calls them into spaces that require dependence on Him. Because chosen lives are not sustained by self-confidence, they are sustained by God-confidence. Another important realization is that being chosen does not eliminate struggle. Many assume that if God chose them, their path should be smooth. But often, chosen people face deeper challenges not because they are abandoned, but because they are being strengthened. Pressure builds capacity. Resistance builds endurance. Opposition builds spiritual authority. And through these experiences, you develop resilience necessary to carry purpose without collapsing under its weight. You also begin to realize that being chosen is not about personal elevation, it is about service. God does not choose people to glorify them. He chooses them to impact others through them. Your calling is not centered on status, but on influence, restoration, encouragement, and transformation. This shifts your perspective from insecurity to responsibility. You begin to see your life not as random existence, but as intentional assignment. And as this understanding deepens, confidence begins to grow, not arrogance, but assurance. Assurance that your life matters, that your voice carries purpose, that your journey has meaning beyond what is visible. Because God's choice validates your existence in ways human approval never could. As we move into the final part, we will bring everything together: what it looks like to walk boldly in your identity as someone chosen by God, how to live with purpose, and how embracing this truth transforms the way you see your future. Because being chosen is not just something you believe, it is something you live. There comes a moment when the truth that you are chosen by God stops being information and becomes identity. It moves from something you hear to something you believe to something you live from. Because understanding you are chosen changes how you see your life completely. You stop seeing yourself as random. You stop seeing your existence as accidental. You stop measuring your worth through rejection or failure. You begin to see your life through the lens of divine intention. Being chosen means your life carries assignment. You were not placed on earth just to exist, survive, and fade into history unnoticed. You were placed here to impact, to influence, to reflect God's nature in ways only your life can express. This realization shifts how you approach everything. You handle relationships differently because you understand your influence matters. You steward your time differently because you understand your life carries purpose. You make decisions differently because you know your path is not random, it is guided. Chosen identity produces intentional living. Another transformation that happens when you embrace being chosen is confidence. Not arrogance, not pride, but deep inner assurance. You stop doubting whether your life matters. You stop shrinking in spaces where God called you to stand. You stop silencing your voice when God called you to speak. Because you realize your qualification is not rooted in perfection. It is rooted in divine selection. God did not choose you because you were flawless. He chose you knowing He would shape you as you walked forward. This confidence also silences insecurity. You no longer compare your journey to others. You no longer feel threatened by their progress. You no longer feel disqualified because your path looks different. You understand that your calling is customized. And what is customized cannot be compared. Being chosen also changes how you view hardship. Instead of interpreting challenges as abandonment, you begin to see them as preparation. You recognize that pressure is building capacity, that hidden seasons are building foundation. You trust that even difficulty is working toward purpose development. Because God does not waste experiences in chosen lives, He uses them. Another shift that happens is responsibility. When you know you are chosen, you begin living with awareness that your life influences others. Your words, your actions, your faith, your endurance, they all become reflections that others can draw strength from. Chosen lives carry impact beyond themselves. You become a source of encouragement, hope, and direction for people walking paths you once walked. Your testimony becomes evidence that God still calls, still restores, still uses imperfect people for meaningful purpose. This realization deepens humility. You understand that being chosen is not about personal glory, it is about service, about being available for God to work through you, not just for you. And this humility keeps your identity balanced, confident but grounded. As you walk in chosen identity, you also develop resilience. You stop collapsing under criticism. You stop being shaken by rejection, because you understand that human approval does not validate divine selection. God's choice stands regardless of human opinion. This resilience protects your focus. It keeps you aligned with purpose even when external voices try to distract you. And gradually, your life begins to reflect the evidence of being chosen. Doors open connected to your assignment. Influence grows where you once felt hidden. Opportunities align with your purpose. Not because you force them, but because God activates what He has prepared. As we close this teaching, hold this truth deeply in your heart. You are not an accident. You are not overlooked. You are not disqualified by your past. You are chosen by God. Chosen for purpose. Chosen for impact. Chosen for destiny that reaches beyond what you currently see. So walk boldly in that identity. Grow faithfully in preparation. Trust God through every season of development. Because what He has chosen, He also sustains. If this message has strengthened your identity, encouraged your heart, or reminded you of your value in God's eyes, take a moment to support the channel. Like this message, share it with someone who needs to be reminded they are chosen, leave a comment about what spoke to you most, and subscribe so you don't miss the next teaching that will continue building your spiritual life. And always remember, you are not random, you are chosen.